So you set those goals for yourself, but then you hold yourself accountable.
Welcome to Working Women Mentor, a podcast where you will find a mentor moment in every episode. We are meeting incredible women from around the world with real stories and learning from the moment that changed it all for them. I'm your host, Rainey Alfers, and I'm ready to introduce you to our next guest. Hey everyone, welcome back to Working Women Mentor. I am your host, Rainey Alfers, and so excited today because we are sharing a really powerful story from Mia Horm. Mia is the founder of Creative Analytics, a company that's helped over 20,000 businesses. If you're listening to us, you might be one of them. With your digital presence, your website, your everything design associated with your business. But not only is she transforming companies, she's transforming herself. All along the way, she shares this very personal story, mentor moments, and pieces that you're going to find refreshing. You're going to find it motivating to push past what you go through that could be potentially difficult and to really look at life with a different set of eyes. Mia tries to focus on what she can control. I love this lady for doing this podcast with us today. She also has Founders podcast, which you'll hear a little bit more about in this episode. So, we like to support podcast hosts. We love a wonderful mentor story. So here you go. Let's meet Mia Horm. Mia Horm, welcome to Working Women Mentor. How are you doing today?
I am fantastic. Thank you.
Good. I love to hear that. Most people don't say I'm miserable. So at least we're off with, we're speaking to happy people, right?
Yes.
Mia, would you go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience, please? I'll let you take the floor.
Yeah. I'm Mia Horm. I am the CMO of Creative Analytics, which is a B2B growth agency that was founded in 2005. And so over the past almost 20 years, we've helped over 20,000 businesses grow online. And so it's really been a fantastic journey and something I'm incredibly passionate about. So I'm excited to talk about that and my life today.
Oh, well, good. We have lots of questions for you. Did you have a chance to text one of your friends and ask how they would describe you, what they had to say about you? We love hearing it from everyone.
Yes, I did. I'm going to pull out my phone
Good.
and read a couple. Yeah.
There you go. Let's do it.
So,
The real Mia. Here we
the
go.
real Mia, we have got, you are a compassionate and dedicated person who consistently perseveres and gives your best to care for others, is an enthusiastic, hardworking, and resilient person, someone with who you can instantly connect and will continuously surprise you with all her knowledge. And we have Mia is incredibly passionate about everything she does, open-minded and approachable, so you won't feel intimidated by her. That's just a few.
That's really sweet. It sounds like the common thing is you're just easy to be around. Thank you for being here today with us. I want to dive into everything because you have an incredible story and it started and it's still going. Our stories are never over, are they? But it sounds like at a very early age, you wanted to really defy the odds and go into higher education, do what no one really expected of you. So I have to know what motivated you back then to even take those first steps into your future journey.
I had a really interesting upbringing, and I'll try to give you the super cliff notes here. So my father is immigrant, and my mother, who was not an immigrant, her family was originally from the DC, Washington, DC area where I'm from, and had been in that area since the 1600s. And true Washingtonian family, but my mother was a teacher, public school teacher for her entire career. And so education was very front and center. However, my mother passed away when I was 5, and I was left in the care of my 2 older siblings who were much older than me, actually. They were adults and I was 5. And education was my mother, even when she was preparing to pass, she set up what elementary school I was going to go to. She told them what junior high I needed to go to and high school and those types of things. So I was a very studious child. People would be looking for me and I'd be locked in a closet somewhere for 8 hours with a flashlight reading a book. I was quite, as you would say, nerdy when I was growing up. But when I was 17, I got pregnant and I had my son just 2.5, 3 months before high school graduation. and I went immediately into college. When I told my father that I was pregnant, he told me, "Your life is over. You'll be on welfare and you won't make it. That's it. Writing is on the wall for you," basically. And so I wanted to prove it to him, but I also wanted to prove it to myself because I knew that I was a smart person. And so why would I allow a circumstance to stop me from what I knew was inside of me? That's the main reason I would say that I went to pursue higher education and in terms of the university level. But what inspired me to pursue past that university level was really that I started this business in 2005 while I was a senior in college. And so very quickly out of, yeah, after college, I started to have meetings with other men. And I will tell you that it was specifically white men that I would be in a room and I felt like if I didn't have letters behind my name, they weren't going to take me seriously. So that was the second reason that I said it's not going to be enough for me specifically with the aspirational goals that I had coming out of college and coming out of the childhood and things that I had, that I needed to take that as far as I could.
Wow, these are really big decisions you're making early and for yourself and for your future. And how did your dad handle this? Because for someone to make such a bold prediction that the writing is on the wall, as you said, and then to watch you flourish in education and in the next steps in starting this business so young, how has he handled your success with that decision and that you've made getting past your circumstance?
My father, as I mentioned, was an immigrant. And so he didn't have much education himself. I think his last year of school was like fifth grade. And so when he saw me graduate from college, I think that was a real point of validation for him that, okay, maybe she will be okay. And his expectations and standards for me readjusted back to maybe what he thought before he knew that I was going to have a child as a teenager.
But it's such a great point that it's not that he is a bad person, right? It's just that's what he knew. That's the only thing he knew. And it was probably from a place of fear for you too, right? It's just he wanted better things and you went out and got them on your own. And I know that couldn't have been easy. What were some of the obstacles that you went through from having a child and being in college, for one? Most people find it difficult to go through college and then add in a baby.
I was the only of my friends who had a child in high school. And so most of my girlfriends went on to college. So we all started school at the same time. I didn't wait. I went right into the university. But I also, for whatever reason, I guess I've always been someone who likes to lay it on thick in terms of a lot of challenges. But when I started college and they started college, let's just say that I graduated on time and all my other girlfriends who didn't have children did not. But my son and the situation that I was in, I would say, was a real motivator to get through school because it was such a challenging time.
So you pressed the gas pedal. You were focused. You
Absolutely.
were where they had fun and distraction, your head's down
Yes.
doing the work.
Yes.
Interesting. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, I had
Two different paths.
I know. And I had no distractions really. I took it upon myself to move out a month after high school graduation, move out
Wow.
of my family homes. I moved into my own place with an infant by myself, went into a full university schedule, full day. So what my day looked like, just for perspective, the first few months I didn't have a car. So I would take the bus in the morning at about 5:36 a.m., take the bus an hour across town to take my son to daycare, another hour back over by where we live to go to school, be in school from 8 to 5. And then at 5 o'clock, get back on the bus, pick up my son, come back home an hour later, and then get him ready for bed, feed him, and then he would be asleep by, let's say, 8:30, and then study until I couldn't any longer and do it again every day. And so there was no sororities, there was no parties, there was none of that. It was a very challenging time.
Yeah, it sounds like it, and but you did it with so much discipline. And if you were speaking to, I want to say women of color, but people, women who are coming from families even of immigrants who are giving them that same message, or really, they don't even anyone going through this. How do you feel, Mia? Like, what's today's advice for them?
Think that having goals is so important. I would say that's the first point of advice is if you're navigating through life without any direction, then who knows where you're going to end up, right? So it's really important to set goals. And I appreciate the compliment of saying that I have a lot of discipline because I've always found myself to be a bit impulsive actually. And so I really appreciate hearing that compliment of saying
You
that
can be
I'm
both. You can be
yeah,
both.
clearly I must be, but I appreciate that. So I
Yeah,
think that having some at least being thank you.
you're welcome.
Yeah, committed to the goals you set for yourself. At the end of the day, you are accountable to yourself. So you set those goals for yourself, but then you hold yourself accountable. If I don't hit this, who else do you have to look at? You, right? So ignore the feedback, if you will. Okay. Ignore the feedback. It's all about you and the goals that you set for yourself and holding yourself accountable to yourself.
It's really an honest conversation with yourself, right? Because if you hold yourself accountable and you bring it up with yourself and not just go, okay, I missed it and forget about it, that starts to compound to where then you're never really achieving what you're trying to. But if when you have that real conversation, like you just said, that's where you wake up and go, okay, next time I'll do this. So I think that's really a really great advice. And I'm sure some of this is what led to creating your company starting at such a young age and as clearly you were passionate about this industry. Tell us about your agency and the beginnings of this business.
So I have I would consider myself to be a natural born entrepreneur, first of all. My very first business, I was 7 years old selling postcards door to door in my neighborhood. And so I figured out very young the power of a young entrepreneur. People love to see that fire in young people.
They do. It's the Girl Scouts, right? Don't you buy cookies when you see them? I'm like,
Yes,
you sell those cookies, girl.
sell me anything. If you're young, sell me
Yes.
anything. I will buy it from you. Just because I love to see that drive and that determination. So I started this business because I was a desktop publisher. That's another word for graphic designers. Back in the day, before it was called graphic design, it was called desktop publishing. That was my very first job in
Good.
high school at 15 years old. I really got passionate about design and creative expression at that point. So in college, I leveraged that experience in design to make extra money. I was doing flyers and postcards and business cards and things for other business people that I knew. And so, about halfway through college, WordPress came on the scene in 2003. I was able to see the opportunity in the market immediately when I found out about WordPress. I said, oh, wow. So that means that business owners are going to be able to edit their own website and not be beholden to some flaky freelancer or agency that was non-responsive that they couldn't get a hold of to change something urgently. They were expensive. They would purposefully break your website, all kind of problems. And so I said, I need to get a hold of this. I need to learn this. So I taught myself how to code and I really fell in love with the problem solving aspect of coding and development. And I said, okay, I'm going to start offering websites. And so that was really what the inception of creative analytics was about. And so it was about empowering business owners to be able to have some ownership of their digital presence, but with the support of a creative agency.
I love this self teaching piece because right now we're all trying to learn AI and automation and how the direction we're going in next. And then there'll be something after that. And having that skill to stay ahead of the trend, look at the pattern, teach yourself. And you're probably just amazed at where things are today from your very first site you built or helped someone build. It's time for a quick sponsored ad from EMK Skincare. It's my skincare secret I swear by and love it so much, I bought the company. EMK was founded over 30 years ago in Beverly Hills and is crafted from science-backed research of human placenta and the bioidentical properties to placenta found in nature. High-potency, plant-powered formulas with clinically proven ingredients. Anti-aging is just not realistic, but healthy aging skin is. And it's why this brand is loved by dermatologists, plastic surgeons, estheticians for its healing ingredients and reduced downtime after procedures. It's my secret to glowing skin, even on my busiest days, my travel days, and my longest work days. Visit emkskincare.com to sign up for emails and receive 15% off your first purchase. Now back to the episode. Let's talk mentorship. So, you obviously, it's important. We need it for professional growth. And you grew up a certain way. We all grew up a certain way. And sometimes we don't have those mentors in our life. Was there anyone for you that comes to mind for a mentor and something particular of a moment that they shared with you?
I had on my bucket list to see Tony Robbins. And so
Oh, yes.
I had my first Tony Robbins experience last fall, and it was such a transformation. I went to UPW.
Okay.
And so one of the most profound moments for me there was the exercise to uncover and eradicate limiting beliefs. So basically, the exercise was to first identify 3 limiting beliefs and then to examine them one by one and basically identify what the truth. Now, when you have a limiting belief, the truth is usually the antithesis of that or the opposite. And so what we do is during our lives, we have situations, circumstances, experiences, traumas, all kinds of things that make us tell ourselves or program ourselves that the opposite of the truth is what's true. And it stops us from being able to do all the things that we want to do. So, in this exercise, the first limiting belief that I identified was that I don't deserve to be happy. And in my exploration of this, I don't deserve to be happy, I very quickly realized that the reason why, first of all, I do deserve to be happy, but more than I do deserve to be happy, I deserve to be content.
So, the difference between contentment and happiness, Mia, how would you define that?
Happiness is temporary. Happiness is fleeting. If you spend your life chasing happiness, chasing that impulsive, that moment of gratification, you'll suffer. Contentment, on the other hand, is a long term positive experience, but it's based and rooted in gratitude. So, what I did was I first adopted, I deserve to be content. And in order for me to get there and keep that feeling, I'm going to have to spend more time focusing on gratitude and specifically focusing on where I am, where I've come from, and the things that I've already accomplished in my life instead of looking at what I don't have, what I lack, and where I want to be. There has to be some happy medium there. You have to be rooted in understanding and building the confidence in yourself to know, okay, I've achieved these things. So I know what I'm capable of. I know my potential. So these things that I want, if I focus on being grateful for what I already have, I'll attract more of that. But I'll also have that confidence that I need in order to continue to reach and achieve those other future things that I have. And I will feel a real sense of satisfaction now and contentment because I'm not focusing on something that I have to replace that feeling instantly with.
It's a powerful exercise you went through during your time with Tony. Was he everything you were thinking? I know you said he's a dream to go see him and experience this. Was it just everything you wanted, Mia?
It was, and it was such a wild experience because you're in a room with over 10,000 people, and then you
Wow.
have thousands of people online on all these connected TVs. And so it's a cult-like experience. It really is. And they have you in that room all day. When I say all day, I don't mean 8 hours, 12, 13 hours, some 15
Wow.
hours. It's an exhausting experience, but it seems quite methodical because it's okay, we're knocking you all the way down. We're going to take
Yeah.
we're going to just
Down to the
down to
pillars.
the pillars, the coals, and then build
Yeah,
you
the
back
literal
up.
cold. Did you walk on the coal? Did you
No,
walk on the
ma'am.
coals? Did you
No,
walk through the
ma'am.
fire?
I
No?
left. No, ma'am. I said, "I can't." And the fear, I don't regret it. I don't regret not walking on the coals because I told
Yeah,
myself, "I will be back. I will walk on the coal." It was
there you go.
yeah, and it gives me a reason to go back.
Your lessons from that and gratitude. And it is a great reminder. I think we all struggle with that from time to time. We all have limiting beliefs, but I like what you said about just take an account of where you are. Just stop and take stock in what you already have done. I know that you take these methods, these ways of thinking, and you help others in your company and in the community. Can you share with us how you're mentoring others?
My greatest opportunity for mentorship, I would say, comes in three forms. One, professionally, and I would say that I really pour into my employees as a coach. Second is with my family, and particularly the children that are under my direction and care. And having an opportunity to mentor not only them, but their friends and their extended network. And then lastly, I really try to be a mentor for my own friends, my own peers in the personal world. And I always try to be a resource for those. Pick up the phone and call me if you have a question about business or if you have a question about life. I would say that I've experienced a lot of things, a lot of pivotal experiences in my life that I would say I have some, at least some perspective on. Whether it's the right perspective or not, who knows? But I have perspective on a lot of key things. So I'll just focus for this conversation on the professional side in terms of coaching my employees. So my company is an employee first company, which is a little bit different than a customer first company. And I came up with that as a part of the intrinsic fibers of creative analytics because I believe that when you pour into your employees and they're happy and they feel fulfilled, I feel that that translates into them doing what's best for the customer because a happy employee will make a happy customer.
I would absolutely agree with that.
To go back to the question, right, to talk about what I do to try to coach and mentor. So, we have a very formal performance management process at Creative Analytics that is very much rooted in coaching and a continuous feedback loop. So I like to make sure that the manager and the direct report have a feedback loop between each other. Secondly, I would say that I have taken a lot of time in the onboarding process of developing our team and getting them not only acclimated with what the business is about, but also uncovering their motivations, their dreams. Who do they want to be? And I've tried to make them feel that what I'm saying is really true, that I want to upgrade you into the person that you want to be, whether that benefits creative analytics or not. And so that's how I approach mentorship in terms of the professional side.
The leading with the generosity. And what I hear too from you and speaking on this topic is you're available. Like that availability word comes to mind. Both your friends mentioned that a little bit in your text earlier on. You've built this structure within your business where if it's not you personally, someone is available for feedback and for the loop. And I think that's a beautiful way to accomplish the coaching mentorship, and then it trickles down and it spreads, right? And then they become not only great employees but potentially mentors and coaching someone else that they know where they can help, or the future people that are coming in after them. So we really start to make an impact in that way. What do you think is necessary in a mentor if someone is not really sure what that means or how I can be a good one to someone? What would you recommend?
It's about listening and helping people achieve the aha moments themselves and being just a resource to answer their questions based on your experience, but also to guide them uncovering these things for themselves so that they feel some accountability and ownership in making the right decisions for themselves.
And it's active thinking about it. To your point, it's like a great mentorship relationship can be in so many different ways, but it's the one that I hear the most, at least, that is not telling them how to do something. It's helping them think about how it's done and then helping them become better. And I use the analogy sometimes it's let me teach you to fish, right? I could do it for you, but then why would I do that? Then you can't fish. Let's
Yes,
do this. So
absolutely.
if I can help you. How do you feel about mentorship, meeting new people, networking, spreading the word in a digital community? Because as you said, we're distracted people these days. There's so many spaces and places to go meet people. What do you think that looks like right now?
I was thinking about this and I was thinking that, first of all, the most successful people that I know in life are those that understand the concept of reciprocal value. And mentors are human beings just like us. And even though they may not be looking for monetary compensation or some other physical or tangible compensation, you should always be looking for a way to add value to those who are adding value to you. So, regardless of the space or the place that you are sharing your wisdom or your knowledge or your expertise, it should be an exchange of value. And you should try to position yourself, especially in digital places such as Facebook groups or things like that. Make yourself available like a consigliere, right? You're not there to dictate and didact to people what they need to be doing and this and that. It should be someone saying, "Hey, I have this problem," and you saying, "Hey, I know a little bit about that. I can offer you just some suggestions or advice. You can take it or leave it. Or this is what I've done and had this result. How maybe you can use this information, take it or leave it." But that's how I would approach and how I do approach giving advice, if you will, in digital spaces, because people don't want to be sold to again. They want to develop a rapport, they want to relate, they want that human experience. They don't want to be told what to do and judged. So you have to offer your advice as an option to people and then allow them to do what they will with it.
Speaking of digital world, I have to ask about your podcast. I cannot let you go without talking about Founders Only. How did you get started? Tell me about a favorite episode. We will be following you and linking this show in the notes. What should we know about Founders Only?
So, Founders Only, first of all, is mimicked in terms of the format. It's mimicked after the, I believe, NPR show How I Built This by Guy Raz. And the reason why I came up with this particular concept for the podcast was because for me, as a lifelong entrepreneur, I wanted to hear about the real stories of how people evolved and exploring the challenges and things that they've had, what those key lessons learned are, so that you can learn or teach someone how to fish through your story.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I love that. We'll make sure to link those. Okay, before you go, Mia, I have to ask you, you're a cook, you love to travel, you're on the road, and you love your city of DC. Okay, favorite place to travel when you want to unplug, where is it?
Difficult question. Okay, Thailand and Vietnam and Costa Rica.
Tropical vibes.
Yeah, I'm a beach girl for sure. Yeah.
Yep.
So I I could not I all four of them have such unique offerings. I could not pick one over the other. I really couldn't.
And you shouldn't. You shouldn't have to. You sh-
And I'm going to say that if I had to live in one of those places for 3 months and I could only pick one, I'd probably pick Thailand.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thailand. You heard it right here.
Yeah.
How about DC restaurant? Where's your favorite? Companies coming into town. Where are you taking them?
I'm going to actually switch it up and tell you Baltimore because I own a restaurant in Baltimore.
Okay.
And so,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So,
Let's promote it.
so the name of the restaurant is Baja Tap, and it is a
Okay.
Mexican food plus German beer hall. So, but the
Fun.
food is phenomenal, and I am not saying that because I'm the owner. I am not saying that for that reason. The food is really immaculate, and I find myself like, oh my god, I just need a fix. We have some really great food on the menu, but in
Okay.
DC, my
When in
god,
Baltimore,
yes, when in
everyone.
Baltimore in Fells Point,
Yeah.
Baja Tap. Yeah.
Is it fusion taco in German? Is it just the German part for the beer hall and the styling of it, or is it a blend?
Exactly right. It's the layout of the space and the beer. It's not the food. The
Okay.
food is very authentic Mexican with a Baltimore flair, if you will. So one example is we
Okay.
have a jumbo lump crab
Yep.
topped guacamole.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Good already.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Skip going to restaurants in DC, everyone. Just head to Baltimore. Love it. I love it. Mia, where can everyone find you and support you and follow the podcast and keep up with your journey?
So, to follow the podcast, you would want to head to the Creative Analytics website where you'll find it in the navigation, the page for the podcast. The website is creativeanalyticsdc.com for District of Columbia, creativeanalyticsdc.com. And you can find me on social. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn under my name, Mia Horm, and then on Instagram under Mia C. Horm with an M at the end, right? Like my name. And I would say those are the main places that you can find me.
All right. Mia, you have been such a pleasure and I love your story. We're going to keep up with you and share your mentorship everywhere we can. So thank you for joining.
Thank you so much for having me on. It was such a fantastic pleasure talking to you too.
Before you go, a huge thank you for being a part of this episode. I hope it left you with a spark of inspiration. And if you haven't already, hit that follow button and subscribe button to stay connected. Now is a great time. Your reviews are the heartbeat of our podcast. So if you enjoyed what you heard today, a review would really mean the world to us. Let's keep this conversation going as well on Instagram at Rainy Alfers. Visit us at rainyalfers.com for all episode show notes and also to express your interest to be a guest. Please sign up. We'd love to hear from you. And until next time, I'll see you back on Working Women Mentor.